Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all my wonderful and beautiful little subscribers out there. 3, 2, 1, my juicy little lads. Thank you, little lads. You're delicious and bright. Yes, they are, aren't they, my delicious little babies now then? Right. I'm going to be doing a reading after this, but no, I'm just going to put this out because I was trying. I did everything, but my emails just kept flipping going off, for the verification code for this new platform that I'm going to be going on, my delicious little babies. And, anyway, I've got to sort it out. Because every time I went to get the verification code, it's meant to store, it never stored. And then every time I put the verification code into this new platform, then it was telling me that the digits weren't correct. So anyway, it's a flipping nightmare. So I've got to get somebody to, see whether they can make a head nor tail of it, my delicious little babies. Anyway, otherwise I would have been telling you the new platform that I'm going on, but I'm not going to do it until I've actually done it. So I have tried today. It did cheese me off for about an hour this morning, my delicious little babies. Anyway, not to worry, these things happen. Now then, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? So it's 6 p.m. in our old England, my delicious little babies, and it's gone rather chilly. The skies are very grey and it's going darker, okay? So that's weather in my neck of the woods. So I hope that wherever you are in the world, that life is treating you most deliciously and that you're having better weather than what I am in my neck of the woods, my delicious little babies. Now then, so, right, okay. So I actually have here, oh yeah, I forgot to tick that one off with the charity shops. 2 pieces of information today, my delicious little babies. Now, the first one, this is just so sad, my delicious little babies, okay? So I may as well, until I get this blooming sorted out. So I'm seeing whether I can find somebody to help me, because you should be able to store it, like on My Dog and Bone, you got 3 little lines, you know what I mean? Which means that, I don't know, say if I look at YouTube or whatever, then, I could look at messages or whatever it is, and then I click on that, and then you can see, but with my emails, they just keep going. Then I have to keep re-signing in. It's just a pain in the flipping backside. Anyway, my delicious little babies, not to worry. It's not your bother, my delicious little babies. Now then, my old Dog and Burns never used to do that. He used to store it. There wasn't a problem, my delicious little babies anyway. But this little baby here, this Samsung, does seem to have a mind of her own. Now then, this uploader still has 572,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies. The uploader was, very sadly, called Robert, capital R, space Murray, capital M, and then hyphen, and then capital S Smith. So in the old search engine space bar in our old YouTube, my delicious little baby should read, once typed in, Robert Murray Smith. Okay, my delicious little babies. The video should read, RRP Robert Murray Smith, 1963 to 2025, my delicious little babies. So I'm just going to repeat that again for you. RRP Robert Murray Smith, 1963 to 2025. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, why am I mentioning this now? For some of you, my delicious little babies, you may know of this dear gentleman and his dear wife, Patty, but for others of you, you may not. Well, me personally, I don't know if I've seen him before, because he did come up on my feed, my delicious little babies, bless him, and bless his dear little wife. His dear little wife passed away a year and a half ago, I'm not sure. Sorry, excuse me. What of my delicious little babies? No, and well, ever since then, that's his dear wife was called Patty, and the dear gentleman was called Robert. And since his dear little wife passed away, um, he wasn't the same. And plus the fact that he was having problems with his health, with his legs and everything, my delicious little babies. And well, they were both scientists, my delicious little babies, okay? And so the video that I've just mentioned, that's the very last one. It's about, is it just over 7 minutes long? And it's actually his brother who is speaking, my delicious little babies. But if you look at the video before that, you know, the video before the one that I've just mentioned, you will actually see dear Robert, bless him. The video's only over a couple of minutes long, my delicious little babies. No, it's not even that, actually. Okay, my delicious little babies. And what he's doing is he's saying that that is his last video, and he's saying goodbye. But just to you know, just to spare a thought for him from time to time, my delicious little babies. And what actually happened is that very sadly he decided to take his own life. My delicious little babies, okay? So it's just so sad. And you're probably going to say to yourself, you know, well, you just, you know, sending out depressing videos, you know, you're just getting all depressed. No. I mean, this is truly, truly sad, because he lost his dear little wife, bless her, little Patty. And, you know, and he was truly, well, very clearly in love with his dear little wife, you know, and he loved her to his heart, and, you know, but his health started to fail and everything. And I just do not really feel that he really wanted to be here, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean? So it's just really sad, you know. It put a lump in my throat when I was listening to the couple of videos, my delicious little babies. And there was another little one as well, because you will always get, some mothers do have them, okay? And that video is only a few minutes long, you know. And whoever it was, you know, because he received comments, you know, and you know, and whoever it was, you know, just wanted to criticise him. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? But what his brother was saying on this video, my delicious little babies, is that he, you know, he sort of kept everything in. He held everything in, so he never spoke about it. So if somebody asked him if he was all right, he'd say that he was all right, when clearly he wasn't all right, my delicious little babies. Okay, anyway, the family got together and decided to give any donations to, it's called Calm, my delicious little babies. I do not feel that I've heard of that charity, actually. But it is to do with men's and gentlemen's, you know, to do with the mental health, my delicious little babies, because men find it a lot more difficult to express themselves or to say what's wrong with them, my delicious little babies, okay? But this video was 2 weeks ago now, okay, my delicious little babies. He did make a decision on how he was going to take his life, and anyway, so it was all talked about, it seems, my delicious little babies. But all I can say is, you know, may he rest in peace, and may his dear little wife rest in peace, and may they be together forever. But it's so very, very, very sad because, when you see their videos and everything, and you need to take a look at their videos, my delicious little babies. I feel, there we are, to truly appreciate. But when he lost his dear little wife, because they were like, how can I explain it? Two peas in a pod. So they both had the same passion for what they did, which was, it was all to do with, I'm not going to say anything more. It was to do with science and things like this, my delicious little babies, okay? But let that dear little couple never be forgotten. Okay, my delicious little babies, just like thousands of other dear mankind, who have gone through things. But his videos, I think he was with YouTube for about 11 years. I'm not sure if it was definitely between 10 and 12 years, my delicious little babies. So yes, well worth a little watch of the videos, you know what I mean? But it does, I don't know, I've seen lots of different videos, my delicious little babies, if not hundreds, but for some reason, I don't know why, this touched me. I don't know why, it just did. Anyway, my delicious little babies. Now the final video. Now then, as I was scrolling, looking for something else to look for, my delicious little babies, okay, just to give out a bit of information, just trying to help her. I feel our current situation that we're all seem to be in the present, my delicious little babies, whether it is renting or mortgages or something, there's always going to be somebody in the world, my delicious little babies, who very sadly is going through a very difficult time. And there are going to be others, bless them, bless everybody, who are going through very good times. But this upload of my delicious little babies, I think this was uploaded a couple of months ago. This uploader happens to have 16.9 thousand subscribers, my delicious little babies. And the uploader, in your space bar, should anybody happen to have any form of an interest, capital G for Grove, is in Barker Grove. Grove, Grove. That's the uploader, my delicious little babies. And the video should read, World in Action, Mortgage Misery, and in brackets, 1990. Okay, my delicious little babies, so I'm just going to repeat that for you. World in Action, Mortgage Misery, in brackets, 1990, my delicious little babies. Now I'm going to close my book. And now it's all ticked off. And now we need to go back to where we need to go back to, my delicious little babies. Well, what this is talking about very briefly, in just over 26 minutes long, this video, my delicious little babies, is 3 different families, okay? One family, I think, has 4 little bairns, okay? Another family has 2 little bairns, and then there's another little family who has 1. Okay, my delicious little babies. And what happened was they fell behind with the mortgages, my delicious little babies, and well, they all seem to be saying the same thing, my delicious little babies, which is to do with, as we very well know, putrid governments never change, do they? They may change hands, they may change birth races, little men and little women in little suits. But the fact of the matter is that nothing changes, does it, my delicious little babies, okay? So for all of these families, bless them, then the council had to find them some bed and breakfast, my delicious little babies, so that they had somewhere to, to go to, okay? There was also the question here that to do with the mortgage companies, that they went through like a list of, whether the one family who was in the arrears, okay, whether they could meet the extra payments, okay, my delicious little babies, okay, to make up for the arrears that they were in, my delicious little babies. And then the question was put to I don't know if he's a bank manager or whatever, building society manager, but if the family's struggling and then they end up paying more, basically, that's what she was basically saying, okay, my delicious little babies, okay. But yes, it's no, there was, hang on a sec, there was 1, 2, 3, I think there could have been 4 families, because there was one with a single mother with 2 little bairns, my delicious little babies, and her ex-husband stopped paying the maintenance of the little bairns, okay, which of course put her in a even worse situation. She was a part-time nurse, okay, my delicious little babies. But as she said she'd never go and get a mortgage again. She said she'll rent for the rest of her life. And all of this was back in 1990, my delicious little babies. And if you happen to look at the world in action, it has a selection, there we are, of other videos, my delicious little babies, that one would maybe like to browse through, maybe. Okay, my delicious little babies. So that's the end of my videos, my delicious little babies, okay? So wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, afternoon or evening, please have a super duper delicious time. You only get one life, my little honey bunnies. Sending peace, love, harmony and bright blessings to each and every one of you. And may your beautiful little selves and your beautiful little families, may you all be fully protected, okay? And how I love you all so. But yes, very, very, very sad. Both of those videos, but in different ways, okay? But the one that really touched myself was the first one. When somebody's making, and I'll just repeat this again, I've seen hundreds of videos where somebody's making a last video, and I do not mean it nastily, but I do not know why. I just never had that same, so I do not mean this awfully, but I just never had that same feeling. But I did with this dear couple, bless them both. I really did. It's like he had everybody around him, family and everything. But who he wanted with him was his dear little wife, and very sadly she wasn't with him anymore. Because it's very hard, isn't it, my delicious little babies, if you really look at it, to find somebody who has the same hobbies, interests, everything. But this dear little couple now, like I said, they were like 2 peas in a pod. And they both thoroughly enjoyed with their science and doing, and then I should have imagined that that's when they decided to do little videos, you know what I mean? But I'm sure that if you look at some of the videos that you'll find, there we are, interesting videos on dear Robert's and his dear wife Patty's channel, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? But may they, rest in peace together now, okay? But sometimes that's how life, can get some, isn't it, my delicious little babies? Mental health is a very serious subject, my delicious little babies, and it is a very serious topic, okay, my delicious little babies, because not everybody can cope just with everyday life, my delicious little babies. They find it extremely difficult just to go from day to day. Do you know what I mean? And so really, if you really look at this in a different way, what am I saying? Whether one has ka-ching or whether they don't have ka-ching, it makes no difference, does it, my delicious little babies? Because if you do not have somebody with you who you love, and they love you to the heart, truly to the heart, and whether that be family, friends, whether it be a husband, whether it be a wife, and if you do not have your health, well, really, what does it really say, my delicious little babies? And for some, maybe bless their dear little, beautiful, dear little souls, that they do not feel that life is worth living, my delicious little babies. And for myself, when I hear this, there we are, it is so very, very, very sad. So, yes, and for anybody in the world, dear Robert, and anybody else who very sadly has took this path to spirit my delicious little babies, may we just keep everybody in our thoughts, because when we sit here, because I always find something each and every day to laugh about. I mean, you wouldn't have said that this morning if you could have heard me effing and blanding my delicious little babies, because I couldn't flipping sort out this. I could do it, I just couldn't get the two to flipping. That's what happened, my delicious little babies. But you look at that situation, okay, then there's others, they just laugh at anything. If they trip up, they find it utterly hilarious, my delicious little babies. Well, I do when I trip up, do you know what I mean? It is funny, you know what I mean? As long as you don't break any bones, But for somebody else, they're sitting in despair. And if it's all in your mind, in your noddle, and it's got nowhere to go, okay? The fact of the matter is that for some, they feel that that's the only way out, my delicious little babies. And what was interesting is when dear Robert said that, that would be his last video. I think he passed away, was it the day, I don't know if it was the day before or the day after, to do with the video, my delicious little babies. He said that, his videos become boring. Well, I looked at that, my delicious little babies, and I thought, how on earth could you call yourself boring? And his dear little wife, well, he never said that about his dear little wife. No, he's just saying that with all of his videos over the years that, he just become, boring. Well, it's not boring. What? Not when you see, and I've looked at some of the videos, my delicious little babies, okay, to have that time and patience, but to enjoy what you do. How can that possibly be boring, my delicious little babies? Do you know what I mean? But sometimes that's how somebody sees themselves. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? You know what I mean? I look like something from flipping Halloween at the moment, my delicious little babies. I look really flipping strange, you know what I mean? Anyway, so yeah, I just feel that we need to spare a thought for everybody, really, going through really difficult times. And one last thing, my delicious little babies, yes. There is the talk, which I just completely forgot about, I've just remembered. This uploader happens to have 1.66 million subscribers, my delicious little babies, on YouTube. Jimmy, capital J, space, Dore, capital D, Dore. He's done about just over 7-minute video, my delicious little babies, and this is to do with Ouchie Fauci in born in the USA. That basically another pandemic is likely, my delicious little babies, okay? So, yeah, which is what we've all, there we are, been talking about, myself, there we are, and there we are, other uploaders, my delicious little babies, because, if they think that they can get away with this, there we are, they will pull this stunt again, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean, okay? So wherever you are, please look after yourselves now. Please try to look after others. And if you do feel that there's somebody who you know, in some cases, even somebody who you do not know, Maybe you could be just out and about walking. Maybe you could be in a shop. Maybe you could be on a bus. Maybe you could be on a park bench. Maybe you could be sat on a train. Sometimes the most interesting conversations are with a total stranger. You see what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? Just that one conversation could make somebody else's day that somebody's listened to them. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? That's all it takes. Okay? That's all it takes. So, you know, please just take care of yourselves now, okay? And this is not myself getting depressed. This is the time of year, by the way, my delicious little babies, where ones are going to be feeling, especially to do the fake crimbo and everything, my delicious little babies. It's a very, very darcy time for some. Okay, my delicious little babies. You know, when others are celebrating, there are others who are very sad. Okay. So it's just a delicate time all round, and with everything else that's going on, okay. And there is that protest. Sorry, I forgot about that. Just reminded me. I have to remind myself with my noddle. Not a protest. It's a march in London on Saturday. My delicious little babies. This is all to do with the digital ID, and it's to do with everything else. And for everybody who goes, well, bless everybody, you know, and hopefully it will do something. So I can only give my well wishes, there we are, to each and everybody who turns up. For myself personally, I just do not go to marches or protest, my delicious little babies. I never ever have. Okay, my delicious little babies. But of course, you know, I'm not saying that against anybody who does, okay? Each to their own. But if it helps the situation, I would have thought that nearly 3 million signatures, there we are, would have helped the situation, my delicious little babies. But it appears that there we are, there needs to be more, it seems, my delicious little babies. Anyway, so you just all take care now, my little beautifuls. Yes, look after. Thank you so very much for any views, for any likes, and for the, you know, oh no, because I don't receive comments. Don't worry about that, my delicious little babies. And I will tell you what the I just need somebody just to, you know what I mean, because I'm clearly, I cannot see what I've done wrong here. I genuinely cannot. It should be just very simple, but for some reason it's flipping not. But this is the site that I want to do videos on. So I'm not going to let it go. Do you see what I mean? Okay, so I'm going to get somebody to help me with this. Okay, my delicious little babies. It should just be, there we are, simple, but it's clearly not. Okay, my delicious little babies. So thank you once again for always having patience with myself, my delicious little babies, okay? Because sometimes I get something in and then I forget to write it down, and that's that, okay, my delicious little babies? But anyway, I've said everything that I need to say for now. Love you. Take care. Thank you. Goodbye.